People love simple answers. Electric cars are cheaper. Gas cars are expensive. That's the story most headlines want you to believe. But real life doesn't work in headlines. Real life works in monthly payments, insurance bills, electricity, rates, gas prices, unexpected repairs, and how long you actually keep your car. So today, instead of repeating internet opinions, let's slow down and look at real numbers. Not marketing numbers. Not best case scenarios, but realistic, average numbers for someone living in the United States. Because the truth is simple but uncomfortable. Electric vehicles can save you a lot of money, or they can quietly cost you more than a gas car. And the difference depends on how you actually live, drive, and pay for your car. Let's start with the very first thing every buyer feels immediately: the monthly payment. Most Americans don't buy cars with cash. They finance, or they lease. So the real comparison doesn't start with sticker price. It starts with what leaves your bank account every month. Right now, the average new electric vehicle in the United States costs noticeably more than the average gas car. Even after prices have come down, even after competition increased, EVs still sit in a higher price bracket. A typical gas sedan or compact SUV might land somewhere in the mid. An equivalent electric vehicle often starts closer to the mid-30s. That difference matters, because lenders don't care why a car costs more. They only care how much they're financing. If you finance a gas car for 5 or 6 years, your monthly payment is lower almost every time. With an EV, even with similar interest rates, your monthly payment is usually higher, simply because the loan amount is larger. Some people say, but EVs have tax credits. And that's true. But here's the important part most people miss: tax. Credits don't reduce your monthly payment up front. They reduce your tax bill later. If you qualify, if the vehicle qualifies, if your income qualifies, and if the rules don't change, that means, for many buyers, especially first-time buyers, the higher monthly payment is real and immediate. You feel it every single month. Now, leasing changes the math slightly. Some EV leases look attractive because manufacturers subsidize them. But even then, insurance and registration fees often remain higher, which we'll talk about shortly. So at the payment level, gas cars usually win the short-term comfort battle. Lower payment, less financial pressure, more flexibility. But monthly payment alone doesn't decide which car is cheaper. It just decides which one hurts less. Today, now let's move to the second cost everyone argues about: charging versus gas. This is where EV supporters usually feel confident, and in many cases, they're right. Electricity is cheaper than gasoline, on average. If you charge at home, during off-peak hours, in a state with reasonable electricity rates, your cost per mile can be dramatically lower than gas. For example, driving an electric car might cost you the equivalent of $1 to $2 per gallon of gas, sometimes even less. Meanwhile, gas prices in the United States swing wildly: $3 one month, $4 the next, sometimes higher, depending on where you live. So on paper, EVs clearly win on energy cost. But again, real life adds complexity. First, not everyone charges at home. If you rent an apartment, if you live in older buildings, if your HOA doesn't allow chargers, or if installing a charger is expensive, public charging changes the math. Public fast charging is not cheap. In some states, it's close to gas prices. In others, it can actually be more expensive per mile than a fuel-efficient gas car. And fast charging also costs time. Time has value, even if it's not on a bill. Second, electricity rates vary wildly across the United States. Charging in Texas is very different from charging in California. Charging in Washington is not the same as charging in New York. So when people say EVs are cheaper to fuel, what they really mean is EVs are cheaper to fuel under the right conditions. If you charge at home, if electricity is cheap, if you don't rely heavily on public chargers, if those conditions are met, EVs save real money every month. If they're not, the savings shrink quickly. Gas cars, on the other hand, are predictable. Gas prices are annoying, but refueling is fast, accessible, and consistent. And modern gas cars are far more fuel efficient than they used to be. That means the gap between gas and electric isn't as dramatic as early EV marketing made it seem. Now, let's talk about a cost. Most buyers don't research deeply before purchasing. Insurance is where many EV owners feel surprised. In the United States, insurance companies don't care how eco-friendly your car is. They care about risk and repair costs. Electric vehicles often cost more to insure than comparable gas cars. Why? Because repairs are expensive. EVs use specialized parts. Battery systems are complex. Battery repairs often require certified shops. And Even minor accidents can turn into expensive claims. As a result, many EV owners pay higher premiums every single month. Not always dramatically higher, but consistently higher. Gas cars, especially common models, benefit from decades of repair. Infrastructure. Parts are everywhere. Shops are familiar with them. Claims are cheaper to settle. So even though EVs save money on fuel, some of that savings quietly disappears into insurance premiums. For some drivers, insurance alone cancels out fuel savings. For others, it reduces them, and this cost never shows up in flashy EV comparisons. Now let's address one of the biggest fears people have about electric vehicles: the battery. Battery replacement is often used as a scare tactic. You'll have to replace the battery and it will cost you $1,000. That statement is technically possible, but practically misleading. Most EV batteries are designed to last a very long time, 8 years, 10 years, sometimes longer. Manufacturers back this with warranties, often covering battery degradation for 8 years or more. For the average buyer who keeps a car 5 to 7 years, battery replacement is unlikely. Very unlikely. However, batteries do degrade, range slowly decreases, and resale value can be affected by perceived battery health. So while battery replacement is not a regular ownership cost, battery depreciation is real. Gas cars have engines that wear over time. EVs have batteries that slowly lose capacity. Different problems, same concept. Now, let's talk about maintenance, because this is another area where EVs usually shine. Electric vehicles have fewer moving parts. No oil changes, no spark plugs, no exhaust systems, no transmission maintenance in the traditional sense. That simplicity saves money. Less routine maintenance, fewer service visits. Gas cars, even reliable ones, need regular maintenance. Oil changes, filters, belts, fluids. Over 5 years, those costs add up. However, modern gas cars are also more reliable than ever. Costs are not outrageous if the car is well designed and properly maintained. So again, EVs usually win here, but not by an infinite margin. At this point, you might be thinking, okay, EVs cost more upfront, but save money later. Mostly true, but now we reach the most important factor in this entire debate: driving behavior. How much you drive completely changes the outcome. If you drive very little, the savings from cheap electricity don't have time to accumulate. The higher purchase price and insurance costs dominate. If you drive a lot, fuel saving compound quickly. This is why mileage per year is the secret key to the EV versus gas debate. Someone driving 1,000 miles a year experiences a very different reality than someone driving 20,000 miles a year. For high mileage drivers, EVs start making financial sense faster. For low mileage drivers, gas cars often remain cheaper overall. This is where rideshare drivers, commuters, and delivery drivers see the biggest EV advantages. Now let's briefly touch on tax credits, because they're often misunderstood. In the United States, federally have tax credits can reduce the effective cost of an electric vehicle by thousands of dollars. But not everyone qualifies, and not every vehicle qualifies. Income limits apply. Vehicle sourcing rules apply. Battery sourcing rules apply. And credits reduce taxes owed, not cash paid at the dealership. That means if you don't owe enough taxes, you don't get the full benefit. So tax credits can be powerful, but they're not universal. Now pause for a moment and think about what we've covered so far. Higher monthly payments, lower energy costs, under certain conditions, higher insurance, lower maintenance, battery myths versus reality, tax credits with limitations. Already, the idea that EVs are automatically cheaper is starting to crack. But we're not done yet, because the biggest financial difference between EVs and gas cars often appears at the end, not the beginning. Resale, value, depreciation. And this is where things get very interesting. But before we go there, there's one more factor we need to explore in depth. A factor that quietly decides whether an EV saves you money or not. And that factor is how long you actually keep the car. In the next part, we'll dive deeper into long-term ownership, depreciation patterns, resale realities, and we'll finally answer the question everyone really wants answered. At what point does an electric vehicle actually become cheaper than a gas car in the United States? Not in theory, but in real life.